But what we want to do is overcome the emotion, because that's just what's lasting from the event. So you sit a person down, and the moment you sit them down, what do you think the body's going to do? It's going to look for something to recreate that emotion, because that's the person's identity. Are you with me still?
Yes.
So if I make the person, if I inspire the person to sit there, and they're sitting there, and all of a sudden they're noticing that they're hot, and they're irritated, and their stomach is twisting, and all of a sudden it's a group of sensations, a group of feelings that they have called all along frustration. But the different sensations, the moment you name it, it becomes an emotion. But what it is just bodily sensations. It's energy that's stuck in the body. So the body is looking to go back to the past. It's believing it's in the past. Are you with me still? So if the person becomes aware that their body is doing that, and like training an animal, allow the body to feel that emotion and then settle it down into the present moment. When you settle it down into the present moment, the body starts to trust the present moment and move out of the past. And there's a release of energy. Then the body goes, well, wait a second, what's going to happen in the next moment? And it starts doing that. And it starts to try and anticipate the future. And you settle the body back down into the present moment. And every time you do that, you're telling the body it's no longer the mind. That you're the mind, and your will is getting greater than the program, and all of a sudden you start to lower the volume to that emotion. And when you begin to break the addiction to that emotion, the side effect of breaking that addiction is called joy. It's called freedom. All of a sudden the body's saying, I don't want to be tormented anymore. Now, does that mean you shouldn't grieve over things that you lose? Grieving is a biological process. It's neural pruning. It's a death of circuitry. It's a death of emotions. It's the absence, a void of something in your life. And that's important, but in grief, sooner or later, you got to come to a greater understanding about death, a greater understanding about loss, a greater understanding so that you can adapt to those conditions. Every time I sit with someone and they start complaining about their life, and I let them go for a few minutes, and then I go, oh! You know what I say to them? You only complain about your life when it's not working. And the emotion that you're feeling right now is keeping you connected to the past. You never do this when your life is working. And so I don't have a problem with moving through the stages of emotions. But I also know that what a person really wants more than anything else is to be free. People want to be free. And I have witnessed transformation on every culture, on every skin color, every shape, every size, every age. I've witnessed it. And the same radiance that takes place in a person's face, a light behind their eyes, a different physical presentation of their face is eminent, it's real. And that person has worked to overcome themselves. And so it's not that we shouldn't feel emotions. We should feel those emotions and feel them completely. And like a child, get over it though.
And people these days, they say, oh, you gotta let your emotions out. You gotta let your emotions out. If you gotta cry. And I understand where that's coming from. And you can get to a point as a person, if there's something that's really traumatic that's happening and all you do is hold it in. And I've seen guys get destroyed over that because they're not expressing the emotions that they have. Right. But that's at a big level, right? At a daily level, no. Yeah. You don't express those things. You keep them inside. That's why I say it like that. Like I'm being kind of sarcastic, but at the same time I'm being serious.
Yeah.
You know, it's just don't let your emotions out and into the world.
Yeah.
Keep them for yourself. Own them.
Yeah.
Keep them for yourself. Don't share them with other people if you don't have to.
Yeah.
Now, again, people are going to freak out that I'm saying this because you bury your emotions. Because that what happens when you bury when you've got something really traumatic that you bury, then it eats you apart. And I've talked about that. I mean, talking about things that you go through in life and expressing those feelings that you have about them, that's good. But what we're talking about is not that. What we're talking about is daily emotions, little ups and downs, little tick marks on your Richter scale. We're not talking about an 8.8 on the Richter scale, right? We're talking about just like little twos.
Yeah.
And when you express those 2s and 3s on the Richter scale out to people, you just look unstable. It's a great point that oftentimes expressing your emotions to the world doesn't improve your situation or your position at all.
Correct.
In fact, I would say that most of the time, expressing your emotions to the world sets you back. And that is why I vote, in many cases, to stifle your emotions. Keep them in.
Yeah.
Don't let other people see. You put your cards on the table, right? You put your emotional cards on the table. Now you can't gamble anymore. You're not in the game anymore. The person knows what's going on. That you're giving it to them. You're not going to know what I'm thinking. You're going to think everything's cool with me. Yeah. We're training jiu-jitsu, right? If I'm getting frustrated and I show that to you, what does that do? You're getting, all of a sudden, you just go level up. You think, oh, I got him. He's frustrated right now. He can't. Oh, I'm working. This is working against him. If I'm just saying the same face all the time, which is what I do primarily, hey, same face all the time. Just, moving the same way. When you do get me, I forget what you say. When you get me to react to something good.
Recognize the urgency.
Yeah, you say, I recognize a little urgency there. And I always go, damn. I don't want him to recognize. I'd rather just have you just pass my guard and you're just there and me just sit there like it's no big deal because it's not. Then me get all panicky. Yeah. Where then you level up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with life, right? Yep. Every time you express these big emotions to your boss or to your team, you express these big emotions to your team, they see all your cards. Don't let them see all your cards. Is this manipulating? Kind of. Right? This is one of those things where people think, oh, transparency. We hear that all the time these days. Transparency. You got to be transparent. No, actually you don't.
Yeah, not with that.
You don't have to be transparent all the time.
Yeah.
You have to win the game. You know what? Does the football coach go out and hand his playbook to the other football team? No. He's got to win the game.
Yeah, typically no.
And that's not how you win the game. So are we, you know what we're doing? We're playing chess. It's emotional chess. You're playing with other human beings. You want to win. Now, if you're winning so that I can take advantage of you, so I can manipulate you and get something from you that you don't want to give me, that's bad. And I'm not talking about doing that. But if what I'm doing is keeping my calm so that instead of escalating an argument with you, I'm getting you to see it from my perspective just by remaining calm, that's what we're talking about here.
And what is an emotion? And again, like a thought, is an energy entity. An emotion too is an entity that is an energy form. You cannot see it, but you can only see how it manifests in the external world. But an emotion is an energy form that lives in you. It's a little entity. And if you recognize it, then there's an awareness there. Without awareness, often you can easily be run by your emotions. And that means the emotion, whether it be, let's say it could be anger, it could be sadness, could be anxiety, whatever it may be, deep regret, jealousy, envy, whatever it is, the emotion, this energy invades, which at first you might feel in the body, it then rises up into your mind, and then it controls your thinking. So when you feel deeply negative, then or angry, then the emotion rises into your mind, and every thought reflects the emotion that you feel, because the emotion is thinking through you. And the emotion is feeding on your thoughts. So the loop happens, the vicious circle. The emotion creates thought, and the thought amplifies the emotion. So in the case of anger, you get more and more angry. The more you think about it, the more angry you get. Until finally you lash out, completely lost. And of course, if it's a child also experiences that. Sometimes some children have temper tantrums, and or they may other very violent emotions. Some children have learned that the only way they can get attention from their parents is by displaying violent emotions, because otherwise parents don't give them attention. So a child would say, as you know, if you're probably aware of the term I use, pain body. Pain body is the term I use for an accumulation of old emotion that still lives in you. It's unrecognized as emotion. It lives in you as an entity. It's an accumulation of negative emotion, or often goes back to early childhood. An accumulation of negative emotion that hasn't left you, that dwells in your body somewhere. And I call it the pain body. And it's helpful to look at it as a little entity almost, an entity that lives in you, a gremlin.